Welcome back to Happy Brain. My name is Sean Block. Thank you so much for being here today. I talked with Dr. Sheila Carroll, and we had two main themes today about the destructive nature of food and how that affects our mood, and two, how we can actually learn to feel our feelings to help not only us, but our kids, our nephews, our nieces, any children in your life. How it all starts with us in terms of eating, in terms of regulation. It all starts with us as role models, parents, etc. So I really enjoyed the conversation. One of the things I really identified with that I've been personally practicing is how to get in touch and identify your feelings. So how to sit with your feelings, and if you're upset and your things are going on, how to sit with your feelings rather than grab something from the refrigerator or pantry. And making that connection is so important. So if you're a parent, this episode's for you. If you're a child, get your parents to listen to this episode with you. If you're an uncle, a role model, any person, an aunt who wants to deal and help their little ones in their life, this is an episode for you. And if you're somebody like me who just wants to learn about how to better regulate your emotions, how to eat better and make that connection between your brain and food and mood and all that great stuff, this is the episode for you. So stay tuned. And I want to give a shout out to one of our listeners who wrote in and said that they listened to this show on their way to work and they love the 15-minute, 20-minute format, and it really helps them. So I appreciate you out there who wrote your comments in. If you have any feedback, I'll put a link to our survey. This is a show we do out of love, and we're doing this to help you, and hopefully it is helping you. So if it is, please just drop us a line and say, hey, thank you for doing the show. Here are the topics I like, or any feedback you have. And if you really have time, put a review in to Apple Podcasts. Again, that's the only way we get attention so other people can hear our messages. All right, enough talk. Let's get right into the episode. Cheers. Just last week, I did a solo episode on food and mood. The whole connection between how you feel and the foods you're eating. And I just shared a little bit about my journey, which was I did. Do you know the Whole30 program?
Yeah, I do.
It's the Whole30 program. I agree with a lot of it. Some of it I don't, but it's all about what you talk about in your food list and everything, that the whole foods that you should eat, right? Just real food and stuff. And the main thing for me was getting rid of added sugar.
Yeah.
So
Me
I
too.
just
Game changing from a mental health perspective, number one, but from a physical perspective too,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know as a pediatrician, you talk to parents and kids all the time about eating healthy and reducing the amount of sugar. I have a lot of nephews and nieces, and there's just so much sugar out there. It's crazy, right?
It's literally insane. It's like honestly criminal, the fact that like the government we are making our kids so sick and miserable, and it's so painful to watch, to tell you the truth,
Oh, absolutely.
And they just love it, but they love it because our human brains were wired to love it. It's normal. So it's not like, oh, well, they're just having bad choices, or they're just having, it's like, we're like we are an animal species, when you really take a bunch of giant steps backwards and understand how our bodies evolved over time. And we evolved to really like sweet things. They used to be rare, but they were always like good for us. And there's no poisonous things in nature that are sweet. And so we evolved, and it was something that kept us alive over the millennia. And now it's killing us. Now it's harming us.
So back in the day, the sweetest things you can get were like berries and fruit and maybe some honey or something like that.
Exactly.
And so were we wired to, like, if there's berries, just to eat a lot of berries because it's a good food for us.
Right.
And so now it's hurt that evolution is really hurting us now, huh?
I know. Well, we just haven't, the past 50, 60 years of the manufacturing these foods, our human body just can't handle that. Like, for example, I dropped my son off at basketball practice this morning. I saw a little kid he had a backpack on, two big Gatorade bottles of, each one of those Gatorade bottles, well, depending on the flavor, but 39 grams of sugar
Oh.
in one little drink. So he's going to be, drinking 80 grams of sugar. Who knows what else he's eating? He was a thin little guy. So, but it's not about his weight so much. It's just about inside his body. Like, the human body is just not designed to handle that huge sugar load. And that is just going to be pushing all of that fructose into his liver. Oh, it's just like
one specific thing. Like, what is the amount of added sugar a child or an adult should have in their day? Like,
yeah, there are recommendations from like the American Heart Association, the World Health Organization. They say the maximum amount of sugar a child, so a baby 0 to 2, they say no added sugars. So all of those little, baby yogurts and baby puffs and baby cookies and stuff, they're not, those all have added sugars. So 0 to 2, 0 grams, and then 2 to 19 or 2 to adulthood, 25 grams of added sugars a day.
And you just said one Gatorade has 35 or 39 or whatever.
Yeah.
So you've blown it right there.
Yeah. I mean, you were just overboard.
Or cereal. Cereal as well.
Breakfast cereal, anything we feed anything we have, this is what the struggle. And it's so real because the environment, like the culture we're swimming in is such a challenge. You are swimming upstream to preserve and protect your child's health.
I know that you work with kids, and from reading your material and listening to you a little bit, it's not about the kids so much. It's about the parents teaching the kids.
Yeah.
How do you help to address the kids? And specifically for this show too, when you see kids, how does the food affect their mood and their behavior and that type of thing? And how do you talk to parents about, if your kid's having a lot of issues, it might be food related?
Yeah. So it depends on where the parent is on that openness spectrum. Sometimes parents are not open to hearing that at all. And honestly, I do think like sometimes, I have an 11-year-old, my son, he can eat a bunch of sugar. He doesn't get hyper. He doesn't get kind of crazy and out of control. But some kids do. And some parents swear by that.
So parents come in and say, listen, Dr. Carroll, I mean, I have a hard time getting my kid to eat anything. If I can just get him to eat cereal, I'm excited. So I know it has some sugar in it, but the kid needs to eat. So what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Do you hear that at all?
Oh my gosh, 1 million times a day. So I just say, well, it depends on how well I know that, but if the cereal factory went out of business, what would we do? What would you do then? Of course your child can eat something besides cereal. I think parents have a lot of limiting beliefs about what's possible for their child. And yeah, they might not be happy about that. They might not be happy if you stop buying their favorite sugary cereal. But I try to explain it as it's like a safety issue. If my son said, I'm not going to school unless you give me a margarita, or if I need a beer, or I'm like, I'm not giving that to him because I don't think it's good for him. It's not healthy for him. So yes, of course we want our kids to eat, but every child is capable of eating real, whole, unprocessed foods. We just have to figure out ways to, it's just a transition. So it's hard when you want your kid to eat something healthy and they reject it. But I just say like, well, I'm not giving up. It's okay. I'm going to keep trying, and we're going to keep, and here's why it's so important for you. I explained to my son, I said, I know this food, you love it. You love Doritos. I said, it's fine once in a while, but our bodies weren't designed to handle that.
Yeah. Tell that to a 5-year-old who's crying. Right. But I totally understand. I don't have kids myself, but I see it.
Yeah, we wouldn't drive with our kid without a seatbelt on. This is where the
Mm.
parents are like, my kid won't eat anything but chicken nuggets. And honestly, they will, because if the chicken nugget factory went out of business and you just couldn't even possibly buy chicken nuggets,
Mm.
do you think he would stop eating permanently? You know?
So you see, again, so with the sugar and all that, you must see a lot of behavioral issues with kids, and then you talk to the parents. Do you see once they start to eat better and feel better, does that trickle down? Is that how it starts?
100%. Yeah. Then you really feel bought in and you're like, oh my gosh, when I gave up sugar, I felt amazing. My energy level, I had more like clear thinking, I slept better, I just felt better.
Mm.
And then we want that for our kids too.
Yeah. I mean, sleeping better. I can tell you that just doing this recently, reducing the amount of sugar, my sleep all of a sudden just got so much better.
Ah,
And then yeah, like what you're thinking, your skin clears up a little bit. It's like a magical thing. So we're switching our gears a little bit, kind of related to this. You want to talk about how you can how parents can help their kids name their feelings
oh
and
yeah.
identify their feelings.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Um, so, being having that skill of being able to feel your feelings and have you heard of the whole name it to tame it kind of thing?
Yes.
Like, yeah, so that's super powerful. Dan Siegel, I think, came up with that. But w- what it's just so helpful on so many different levels for a child to allow your child to understand that negative emotions are part of life. And you are going to feel bad, you know, a lot of the time, 50% of the time at least, probably, right? Because if all of the human emotions are on a spectrum, and sometimes we don't we disconnect our thinking from our actual feeling in our body. And it's really powerful to reconnect those two things. Because for example, if you feel fear, if I scared you, or jumped out at you or something, what actually is going on in your body is a neurochemical response to that, to what I just did. I scared you, and your body had a chemical reaction that made your heart rate go up, what sweaty, whatever. And so it's actually in your body that you're feeling it. And we have similar feeling, other feelings, sadness, frustration, all of the things. And the same thing with happy feelings, the same thing with like positive feelings. They're actually in our body, but we don't really ever talk about it like that. We talk about it like, oh, it's up in your head and choose a different thought, or you think something different, or it's okay. um, but when you can really learn to understand what's going on in your physical body, why I'm having this feeling, okay, and I'm safe to have this feeling. I'm not, because what I saw was in my office was a lot of anxiety, with a lot of kids with anxiety. Anxiety is a normal human emotion, and it has protected us over this millennia. Again, we are just, you're always scanning the horizon. Is that dangerous for me? Is that dangerous for me? Is that dangerous for me? But nowadays, like, even things are triggering our anxiety. For example, like, oh, someone didn't like my Instagram post, or some kid said something to me, and but we're having that very ancient physiologic response. But what's going on is that kids don't know that that's normal, and then they start to panic and think something's really wrong, and so do their parents. They become anxious about their own anxiety, and they become mad, or they become sad about their sadness. And so, just if parents can know, like, all of these feelings are normal, this is normal, and feelings can't harm us. And so, let's learn to actually just feel them. And they say, like, these experts who monitor these chemicals and stuff say, like, it takes about 90 seconds for that chemical, feeling to go through your body.
Hmm.
Uh, And so if we can, so what do we adults do when we're bored or we're angry or we usually do some, a lot of people are in the habit of quote buffering, doing something, like eating something, because what does that do? It kind of changes our neurochemical response. It tamps down those lonely feelings, bored feelings, restless feelings, whatever. But the trick is like learning to feel your feelings and accepting them, knowing they're not going to last forever. It's just part of how, it's just part of
Okay, I have a
being.
scenario. I have a scenario. My nephew comes home from school, and he's really just angry and upset, and just is acting out because something happened. I don't know what happened. He really tell me. How can I get him to start to slow down and kind of be, and how do I help him feel whatever he needs to feel?
So, it's usually right in the moment is not the time to practice this skill, right?
Right.
My son, this happens to my son. So my recommendation is to just allow him, stay with him in that feeling. And, oh, I see. Oh, wow. You seem really frustrated. Or, it seems to me like you're frustrated. And then just silence. So being non-judgmental, don't try to make it go away. Don't try to make it seem, horrible, or we got to get you out of this feeling, you know, like, oh, wow, you're really frustrated right now.
Is that why, like, you hear a lot of times that men try to fix things, right? When
Mhm.
their spouse, it doesn't have to be just men, but their spouse is upset about something, and they just need to get it out and talk about it, and we're trying to fix it. Is
Right.
that our mistake? Is just being there, just like you said, sit with it,
Yeah.
helping them be with it,
Yeah.
silence,
Yeah.
and
And
then
if they say,
maybe, yeah.
so and so left me out at lunch, or, whatever happened, oh, wow, that must really
Mhm.
feel what you're feeling, and validate their feeling. And it's okay. Instead of like, oh, it's fine. So many people love you. You're totally good. Like kids are like, no, thank you for that.
So is it as simple as, and I'm looking out for my own behavior. If I'm upset and I'm anxious or whatever, should I just pause and just kind of try to identify with what I'm feeling at the moment? Is that the tip?
Yes. Yeah, that's a skill to practice over time. I mean, so for parents, like if you want to have these boundaries, you don't want to have like your teenager boy punching the wall or doing crazy behavior, but you want to be saying like, no, it's my job as your parent to keep you safe. You are 100% allowed to feel whatever you're feeling, but I can't let you punch the wall or scream at your sister or hit,
Hmm.
whatever. So there's boundaries around that, but go ahead and feel your feelings. It's fine. Be mad, be upset. And it's okay,
Hmm.
And then those feelings pass, honestly. You know, they might go down, and they may or may not be willing to talk to you, you know.
And one of the things that I noted down when you were talking is about being anxious about your own anxious feelings. So
Mhm.
if you're not aware that it's okay to feel,
Yeah.
then you're going to be anxious about feeling anything. And then that starts
Yeah.
the whole process. So I
Kids are
guess,
very
yeah.
fearful of that. When they don't feel they feel anxious about something, and then their parents like, oh shit, or oh gosh, noticed my kid is something's not right here.
Hmm.
Then the kid is like, oh my gosh, something's not right. Of course I'm right to be anxious. You know what I mean? Or I really there it's just a circle that keeps perpetuating, itself,
Yeah.
versus.
And
Yeah.
we just don't pay attention to that, as role models, as parents, because we
Yeah.
probably try to fix things too. Your kid's upset, you want to fix it, right?
Yeah. It
And you
doesn't
want,
feel good when your kid's upset or your friend's upset, or it triggers lots of things in people to be like, oh gosh, this is so uncomfortable,
and then
you know.
it swings back to food, right? Because if you have this pattern, you're not feeling, you're anxious, then everybody wants to go to the fridge or eat or
Mhm.
whatever to kind of resolve that situation. So it sounds like this is
Yeah.
part of your strategy to help parents is get in touch with your feelings as well as a weight loss
Yeah.
tool.
One of my coaches says, you don't have an overeating problem, you have an underfeeling problem. And
Wow.
we're eating because we're trying to tamp down our uncomfortable feelings,
Mhm.
you know?
This is so helpful, and it really relates to what a lot of us are struggling with and dealing with. Now, you have a resource that I downloaded yesterday as well about helping kids. It's like a 10-step guide for
Oh, yeah.
kids. Can you talk about that and how people can reach out to you?
Sure. I made a guide called, I think it's called 10 Steps to Transform Your Child's Health. And it's big picture stuff. It talks about sleep, nutrition, exercise, some of the emotional regulation skills we were talking about. It's things that parents can do. And because this is where we have control. We can't control our kids. Yes, we can offer them things, but we can't. The only person we can control is ourselves. So this guide is 10 steps that parents can do to set the stage to improve their child's health.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'll put the link down in the show notes, but they can just go to your site and download it, because I did it. It was very easy. And you also offer a call if you want to talk
Yeah.
further about this.
Right. Sure. Yeah. I love working with parents who are interested in, they're interested in improving their own health and by improving their own health, by definition, their child's health will improve.
Well,
This, to me, this is the way. I was a pediatrician for 20 plus years. And the current model of like bringing your child to the doctor, my child is gaining weight too quickly for their growth, and okay, then when the doctor tries to talk to the child, and the child, okay, you need to make different food choices, you need to get more sleep, you need to drink more, the poor child, their brains are just not, even if they really wanted to do it, their brains are not mature enough to make those decisions on the regular that they need to really change. So that's why I switched to working only with parents, because the parents are the key to help their children.
well, thank you so much, Dr. Carroll. It's been great talking to you, and definitely put the links below. And you really helped me reinforce the dangers of sugar and how important diet is to our mood, and being in touch with ourselves is key.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Sean.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Happy Brain. If you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you have an extra second, leave us an honest review over on iTunes or your Apple podcasting app. And until next time, my friends, keep that brain of yours happy.